Ako po si Lovely Granada from Jensan. Actually, I was born in Butuan, but from grade 6 to university, we lived in Jensan na. And then after ng college, nagpa-Manila na po ako to study. Actually, Bible school siya eh, pero hindi rin talaga siya Bible school. Parang we don't want to call it Bible school. So we called it like truth, life, and character training. It's like open to all Christians after college to live a normal Christian life reading the Bible. Kasi 'di ba parang konti na lang yata sa mga Kristiyano ang talagang nagbabasa ng Bible. So that training was living a normal Christian life or by reading the Bible every day. So ganun yung training na yun. So for 1 year, dun tayo nakakulong. And then, okay, so actually, nung naimbitahan ako dito, I felt so honored at hindi ko alam na magsasalita ako. Pero, kasi, I always have this feeling na I'm not an expert and I don't really feel qualified to discuss, issues in great depth. But yeah, I believe I can share my own journey in fighting disinformation and why I chose this path. So, before 2016, I honestly didn't care much about politics. Former President Benigno Aquino III, si Pinoy, he was actually the first president I voted for after I became voter. Back then, I was still in college, fourth year, doing my OJT sa Brigada News FM. I even covered the 2010 elections as a student reporter that time. So, siya yung first president na binoto ko. Even earlier, when I was in first year high school, involved na ako sa Kaakbay. Maybe you haven't heard of that, pero may activist youth group na Kaakbay led by MSU Jensen. Basta yung chair nun ay from MSU Jensen. So it's an activist youth group that introduced me to the concept of the tri people in Mindanao. Yung mga Lumads, Muslims, and Moros. Yun. So through that experience, I actually gained a deeper appreciation of diversity sa Mindanao and became involved in peace-building efforts. Pero eventually, I stopped. Kasi, basta one day, I was invited to speak sa Oval Plaza. There was actually the speaker. May nakatoka na magsasalita nun. Pero the night before that person contacted me and sabi niya, mas okay pag bata yung nagsalita. So, binigay niya sa akin yung speech niya. So, when my mother found out, she got really upset. Tapos sabi niya, bakit ka nagiging aktivista? Instead na mag-focus ka sa pag-aaral. So, our church meddled. They stepped in and advised me na huwag ka na sumali sa mga ganyan. Huwag kang maging aktivista, mag-aaral ka na lang. So parang that time, parang what's wrong? I had those thoughts. What's wrong with being an activist? Tama naman yung pinaglalaban ko. Pero at that age kasi, I was 13, I remember.
Wow.
At that age, I didn't really have, the courage to go against the advice of the adults around me. So I just listened and unti-unti naging apolitical ang bata. So, yun, biglang naging walang pakialam. But even if I stayed away from activism, I was still a student leader, a campus journalist, and debater. So, hindi rin talaga maiwasan na ma-expose sa mga political discussions or social issues. Looking back, I think those experiences slowly shaped my political awareness without me even realizing it. I think yun eh. Kasi yun, na-expose ako sa campus journalism. So talagang nagbabasa ka. And when you go debating, magkailangan mo din talaga mabasa. So dun nagkaroon ako ng political awareness ulit after ko mag-stop nung high school. So, fast forward 2016, I was already in Manila. Banggit ko kanina, I was a corporate slave and actively serving in the church ministry. Kasi after nung quote-unquote Bible school, may ano kasi na if you want to serve the church, then you can go ahead and serve. I was at Navotas that time. Inassign ako sa Navotas. Tapos yun yung kasagsagan na people were urging former President Rodrigo Duterte to run for president, but he kept declining. So initially, and honestly, I was impressed. I thought, wow, people are clamoring for him to run, but he doesn't seem hungry for power. So parang, wow, nakakabilib. And I also noticed, ang dami na nung tarpaulins dito sa Metro Manila encouraging him to run for president, but he kept declining. Then I remember the stories I used to hear from mga nanay sa church namin. Kasi dati, nung nasa Jensen pa ako, we kept going to Davao I remember we kept going to Maa Davao. Kasi before 2001, part pa kami ng Southern Mindanao. And yung Jensen part pa ng Southern Mindanao, kabilang doon yung Davao regions. Yung Davao, Davao region. Ngayon. So, that time naririnig ko yung mga nanay na nagsasabi na, uy, okay si Duterte. But I was just a kid back then. Pero naalala ko lang na, they spoke highly of Duterte. They said he was tough, yung mga kriminal daw, takot sa kanya. And sinasabi pa nga nila na kaya walang krimen sa Davao kasi takot sa tapang ni Duterte, ganon. So yun yung narinig ko when I was younger. And in 2016, parang yun din yung na-recall ko na, well, when talks about his presidency gained momentum, I was hopeful. I thought, maybe this could be a turning point for the Philippines. So, ayun. Okay pag si Duterte ang naging presidente ng Pilipinas. Siguro, somehow, magkakaroon ng life-changing moment ang Pilipinas. Then the campaign happened. He made the rape joke. That was the moment na I immediately withdrew my support. Kasi I told myself, no, this is not the kind of leader I want. Kasi to me, if you genuinely hate crime, you don't joke about rape. You don't. If you genuinely respect human dignity, you don't make light of violence against women. So at that time, hindi pa ako registered voter sa Manila but I began speaking against Duterte within my own circle. Kasi sa church namin, marami din akong kababayan ng mga Bisaya and they were like, they were campaigning for Duterte. So, it was nothing grand. Yung campaign ko against Duterte, it was nothing grand. Sinisingit ko lang when nasasabay sa conversations among friends, mga kasamahan ko sa church. And I would like, hindi hindi dapat ganito, ganyan. So, of course, he still won. He became president. The vulgar remarks, the profanity, the disrespect delivered from the highest office in the land. May presidential seal pa yan, naka-display on national TV habang binabastos ang kababaihan. Walang respeto sa buhay ng tao, at binalahura ang Diyos. Here's the drug war, the orders to kill, the smell of blood in the streets. I remember, yun yung mga time na pag nakakakita ako ng pulis, natatakot ako kahit hindi naman ako adik. Alam mo yung pag nagde-drive yung asawa ko, syempre kasama ako, tapos pag pinapatigil, kaya MMDA lang yun. Alam mo yung, I always had to remind my husband, uy, kahit pa hindi mo kasalanan, kailangan dapat humble, polite, tapos basta, wag ka nang makipagbangayan. Kasi, I always felt like they can, you know, they can pull the trigger anytime. Ganun yung feeling ko. So, instead of feeling safe, takot ako sa mga naka-uniforme. So, yun, there were stories of our kababayan who never made it home. Mga kritiko na pinatahimik. Alam naman natin, di ba? Mga pinakasuhan, pinakulong, si Nobel Prize winner Maria Ressa, si former Senator Laila de Lima, marami. And that's when, yes, I feared driving home at night during that time, yes. And that's when, yeah, something changed inside me. Alam mo yung kumukulo yung dugo ko and my conscience would not let me rest. Gusto kong may gawin, pero hindi ko alam kung ano. Doon namuo yung galit. Well, I just had to do something, but I don't know what to do. So there were moments I would simply cry out of frustration. Like, umiiyak na lang ako. Iniiyak ko sa Panginoon. Kasi that time, tinabanggit ko to sa mga interviews ko. Kasi in our church, we are not really supposed to talk about our, political stance openly. Kasi to us, politics it's like touching death. It's gonna kill you spiritually the moment you touch it. Pero yun, so talagang iniiwasan ko na pag-usapan siya. Kaya siguro nagkaroon ng, alam mo yung, it's just boiling inside of me. So, yun din. Let's talk about Vice President Leni Robredo. Actually, that time, kasi diba, napaka-apolitical ko noon, so hindi ko kakilala na ang Vice President natin si Leni Robredo. I just knew that we had Rodrigo Duterte as our president, but that time, I didn't know that, si Leni Robredo pala ang president. Sino si Leni Robredo? So parang, she was new to me until, yun na nga, nakita ko yung mga fake news against her. But that time, I didn't think it was fake news. Yun nga, yung, sinabi niya na, ano ba yun? Yung 100 times 40, gano'n. So parang, bobo daw si Leni, ganito, ganyan, lutang. So I was like, okay, talaga ba? So yun, I kept seeing posts attacking her online. So na-curious ako, nag-start ako mag-fact-checking on my own. Kasi hindi ako mapaniwala na talaga ba? Siguro nagkamali lang siya. So, I traced videos back to their original sources. Nag-compare ako ng mga clips, yung mga timestamps. Ay, nako, na-discover ko. Spliced videos, edited, completely taken out of context. So, okay, binasa ko everything about Leni Robredo. And then I realized, okay, kaya pala siya inaatake ng inaatake. And then yun nga, nabuksan ulit yung mga mata ko. Because the more I investigated, the more I realized that the attacks against Leni, hindi siya isolated incidents eh. They were part of a much larger ecosystem of disinformation. At the same time, I noticed how social media was being used to glorify Duterte and reshape reality itself. Nakakalula yung, alam mo yung kahit mga patay na at mga movie characters nagsasalita praising Duterte. Yung mga, talagang na-overwhelm ako. Ang dami-daming nag-react. Like, for example, yung kay Albert Einstein. Pinuri si Duterte. May nakita akong gano'n, pinuri si Duterte. Tapos, yun, mga papuri sa kanya. So, I was like, totoo ba itong nakikita ko? Tapos may mga kakilala akong totoong tao na talagang naniwala. Parang, oh my gosh. So, na-realize ko na, um, ganun kabobo ang tingin nila sa mga Pilipino. Or should I say, ginagawa nila tayong bobo. So, dun ko na, naririnig po ba ako?
Yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
Okay. Sige po. Kasi parang may problem sa ano ko. Hindi ko
Okay,
nakikita
okay.
ang sarili ko. Okay. Sige, okay na
ang
pala.
audio mo.
It's my computer. So, ayun. Doon, yun yung mga awakening moments ko at yun yung talagang namuo sa loob ko. And then, fast forward, there's Eman Atienza. She committed suicide. Pero vocal din siya against the Duterte during, when she was still alive. Nung naaresto si former President Rodrigo Duterte, she was celebrating. She had a video celebrating the arrest. Ano lang, may nasa background yung balita, tapos sumasayaw-sayaw siya. And that actually triggered the DDS. So, nung pumanaw siya, there were lots of DDS na mga vloggers saying na, yan ang nangyayari sa inyo kapag minak nyo si Duterte. So, dun ako talagang sumabog. Dun ako sumabog. Prior to that, actually nakapag-desisyon na ako na, okay, I'm gonna go all out. Here's the story. So, diba, sa church namin, we were not supposed to be so open or so vocal of our political stance. Dapat pinagpe-pray lang naman daw kasi ang mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas, let's pray for our leaders, ganon, magabayan sila ni Lord. Okay, pinagpe-pray ko naman talaga. Iniiyak ko naman talaga sa Panginoon for so many years. Pero may mga nakikita ako nagsiserve, mga serving brothers and sisters, and these are the same people na kasama ko sa training, sa Truth Life Character Training. They would post church meetings, our church meetings, they would share about the ministry. I don't know if you've heard about the Lord's Recovery. So, I belong to the Lord's Recovery. So, mga posts about the Lord's Recovery. And, okay. Pero maya-maya, magsishare ng fake news. Maya-maya, pupurihin si Duterte about the EJ case. Doon talaga ako parang nasuka. Pero okay, I don't wanna call them out openly kasi ayoko sila ipahiya. So, I chatted sa group namin. Sabi ko, talagang sinulat ko siya ng napaka-nice para hindi siya offensive. So, sabi ko, alam ko may mga DDS dito sa atin, hindi ko naman makokontrol ang pagiging DDS nyo kasi desisyon nyo yan. Pero, kung mag-share kayo sa social media and you want to profess that you're part of the Lord's Recovery or that you're a Christian, mamili lang kayo. Gusto nyo ba maging DDS in public or gusto nyo ba maging, member of the Lord's Recovery in public? Hindi pwede both. Because you will lose the testimony. Nasisira ang testimony ng Panginoon when you support someone who disrespects women, minura ang Diyos, walang respeto sa buhay ng tao. So, mamili lang kayo. Huwag naman pagsabayin. Kasi nadadama yung ibang Kristiyano. Parang yun na yung nagiging testimony natin instead of the testimony of Jesus. Yun ang sabi ko. I hope you receive this well. Maraming salamat. Ganon. Hala, ni-remove ako sa group chat. Wala sinabi. Ni-remove ako. So, syempre, may mga kasama tayo na na matino pa rin ang pag-iisip. So, sinend sa akin yung screenshot ng tawanan nila after ako ni-remove. So, sabi ko, okay, so ganito, I'm gonna go all out. Dahil kayo na mga nagsiserve sa church ay sumusuporta openly kay Duterte, so ako din. I'm gonna make my voice heard. Gumanon ako. And I'm gonna make my voice louder than yours. Talagang parang, alam mo yun yung parang promise ko sa sarili ko. Pero even until that time, lang ako hanggang Facebook text, nasa comments ako. Actually, nung 2022, sobrang frustrated ko na natalo si Lenny Robredo. Kasi yun yung time na talagang I went out to the streets. Actually, I don't like crowded places eh. Pero yun yung time talaga na nakipag-skin to skin ako sa mga kababayan natin just to, para makiisa sa Pasig Laban. Andito yun sa Emerald Avenue. Yun yung grand rally na nag-join ako at first time na talagang nilaban natin ang Pilipinas. So doon ako nagkaroon ng okay, let's do this. Pero yun nga, natalo ang Pilipinas. I would not say na natalo si Lenny. Kasi yung pagkatalong yun, natalo ang Pilipinas eh. So dahil sa sobrang frustration ko, nagkaroon ng, parang nag-organisa. Naramdaman ko na may mga pag-organisa. So I was part of the Angat Buhay Communicators. There was this ABC. Basta may nag-invite na lang sa akin, sali ka dito. Tapos parang may moments of Zoom meetings. Parang like, we had to do something. Parang in preparation sa 2025. Pero parang namatay din yun eh. So, may nag-recruit din sa akin sa Diwa. Basta there's this group of people na digital warriors kung tawagin. So, nagre-report kami ng mga pages. Yun yung talagang participation ko originally. Nagre-report ng mga pages ng mga fake news peddlers sa comments. I thrived in the comments. Kasi nga, ayoko na openly nagpo-post. Pero nasa comments ako, nakikipagdebate. Hindi pa nga ako bardaguler noon eh. Ano ako noon? Tawag na to? Mas radikal ang magmahal. So talagang alam mo yon, hindi rin ako yung tipong let me educate you. Basta, alam mo yon, I started conversations sa comment section sa mga kakilala ko, ganyan. So, yun, dahil dun sa pag-remove sa akin sa group chat, dun ako nagkaroon ng resolve na, okay, I'm gonna go all out. My voice is gonna be heard even louder than them. And then came the Eman Atienza case. Doon na ako gumawa ng rebuttal video doon sa DDS na vlogger. And then yun yung nag-gain ng traction. And tinuloy-tuloy ko na. And then, Wala Kayo sa Lolo Ko podcast invited me in their podcast. Actually, Sir Romel contacted me. At yun na yung nag-connect sa akin kay Sec Ronald Llamas. And the rest is history. Ngayon, nasa One News na po tayo.
Wow.
And, we have a show with Sec Ronald Llamas. Yung mga DDS kasi, I don't know where they get that. Pero sinasabi na mag-ama daw kami. Love child daw kami. Love child daw ako ni Sec Ronald at saka ni Senrisa. Nakakaloka. Ay, kawawa naman si Senri na damay pa. Okay lang si Sec Ronald. Kasi magkamukha naman kami.
Thank you. Ngayon, lovely, if I may interject, no? So you've explained to us the process by which, from being apolitical, now you're full-fledged espousing defense of democracy and things like that. Ngayon, henceforth, as I told you when we were talking this morning and yesterday, last week we had two youth like you. No? We had Paeng David of Akbayan and we had Kiko D of Tintig Pilipinas, because we all know that about 2/3 of the voting population would be 40 years old and below, and you are part of that 40 years old below, no? So they will definitely decide who will win in the next election. At the same time, these are the people who will live longer. Most of us here will probably have, who knows, 2 decades or so, but you guys will have 5 decades, half a century. Kaya all the more, the onus is on the youth. No? So, paano mo, how do you want to energize the youth? How can you contribute, adding to what Paeng and Kiko said last week? No?
Actually, I still plan. I work with Akbayan Youth.
Good. Yeah.
So they invite me in their activities as well. Pero syempre, pagpapatuloy ko, I plan to focus on content making eh. Actually, nagsuslowly quit na ako sa pagtuturo kasi I want to make more time sa content creation. I've been praying about it, Lord, ikaw na bahala. Ikaw na bahala. Pero yeah, I still have my own means naman financially. I still do voice projects naman sa mga nakilala ako. So I still I still have my means naman para mabuhay. Pero yun, I really plan to focus on content creation. At saka may mga youth kasi na nag-reach out. So talagang nagre-reply ako sa kanila. From UP Diliman, may mga students na sa College of Education, they invited me to speak sa kanilang grupo. It's also about social media and fighting political disinformation. So I plan na rumisponde sa mga ganong klaseng activities nila. So may mga youth din na nagpapaturo ng debate. So I respond to them and hopefully pagpalain ni Lord yung mga ganong pagkilos.